My feature, but that's an entirely separate thing. And for those who don't remember from before, I have 2 haikus on the list. The whole point of guerrilla haiku readings is you just walk up when you just feel like it. You read your haiku, and then you give me the piece of paper, because that apparently is going to be my follow-up haiku I'm going to read after you. That's why there are 2 on the page. I figured that at least they might match each other or something. I don't have the list, and I know... well, Joffrey, you're first. And I have to give you a poetic license card, which is over there, but I left it blank so you can put your name in it. Well, you know, people, you know, Weinberg it, and like, here, and then you write your name down. And we're like, I know what you need to down. I don't need that, just like, yeah, right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hi, everybody, welcome to the Gallery right here. I'm way too hyper. I'm sitting here because this is where the feature is going to be reading from, and we just need to get all this set up. And I guess I could say, I hate doing this, yippee skittle to do. I'm the feature this evening. Yay! Because just today I released a bunch of books, and you saw for a minute there was stuff, and one of them is called Partial Nudity. But it's all poetry, or mostly poetry, or something. No, I have respect for you people, so I wouldn't put you through that. But anyway, as I said to everybody before, 1 poem per person, and in the middle of it, circa 9:45, I am going to start the feature, and then we'll go right on back to that one mic, because we're supposed to be done by 10:30. So, ladies and gentlemen, Joffrey, my darling, you're always number 1 on my list. Get over Joffrey Stewart! Woo! You don't need a chair. You don't need a chair.
Joffrey, I love your cool outfit.
Well, this one relates to the piece some of you have. The title for the poem is The Breath of Lies, Airlifts, Killer Drones. The epigraph is from Sherman Skolnick, who was reported murdered by Mossad 8 years ago last month. Report from anonymous source. New York City firemen, there were bombs in the building. Cyberspaceorbit.com. Crucial info evidence. Explosives toppled WTC. 3 days before D-Day, in this 100th year of that first great war for Israel, about 24, counting cops, turned their backs on Boeing, where a trustee of Roosevelt University does her corporate share to aim drone strikes at weddings in Pakistan, and crossing the backward-flowing Chicago River, we advance into time zone for air raid sirens, signaling that we are all Tuesday dead. But Slavs are more busy killing Slavs in the design of the ruling class, Ukraine, than to interdict this 160-mile trek of breaks the law for peaceniks, a hardcore of which will engage the drone machine at Battle Creek, Michigan, with love made visible in action as one of those ground the zone, ground the drones signs proclaims. So the battlefront comes to your backyard, so to speak, while families picnic on an upgraded lakefront, enlarged beaches, new boat harbor overpasses, mosaically muraled underpasses, and sculptured dead trees, leaving an Alice in Wonderland effect, surreal, amidst museum prairies for birds, without Black Hawk, Blackbird, and other pre-Columbians, except as absorbed in the gene pools of Latinos, who don't think they are Italian, blacks, who think they are African, and other innovations of human identity imposed by facts of conquest. A woman came from England to a workshop in commemoration of Freedom Summer 1964 to recruit me to the first leg of the trek from Boeing to 79th Street. It was, in an unnoticed way, like a memorial for Tor Fagre. Our undisputed religious leader was Senji, a head-shaven Buddhist monk from Japan, up front, in front, awakening the dead to our march against death with polite tattoos on his modest skin drum. Parker could play Richard III, except that his spine curved upwards to the right rather than upwards to the left. Brad Little, with heart bypass, struggled, holding sign as best he bow-leggedly could, dropping out as myself on lakefront at Hyde Park. A tall guy in cowgirl skirt and black ballerina leggings was reading my comment on proposals for San Diego meeting of National War Tax Resistance Coordinating Committee, P.O. Box 150553, Brooklyn, New York 11215, 2-4, May 14. As we moved southerly on the Lakefront Trail, a stream of bicyclists northerly, their faces lit up brightly with happy surprise as they apprised our ground the killer drones signage, but lacking in poster art for the hoax and fraud of 9/11, which airlifts drone warfare. I exhausted the last of 150 leaflets by the time we got to Flashpoint for the 1919 pogrom of blacks at 31st Street Beach, and later to learn that I had failed to reach a leaflet to fellow traveler from the Bay Area. At rest stops, we were nourished with anomaly, it being that this pacifist action was not wholly vegetarian. And at such a stop, I conversed with Farmer Fitz, a Christian peacemaker with team experience in Colombia and who sounded like a lobbying Quaker more than Anabaptist Mennonite of anti-state tradition. 2 blacks from Museum of Science and Industry, our cohort was down to 15. No cops since Grant Park. There'd be no better way to spend a summery spring day. And if you're sensitive to the sounds of silence from the engagement at Battle Creek, you may appreciate how poetry, as with this poetry, has more life-giving value than billionaire corporate distractive industry.
That was Joffrey Stewart. This is Bob Rashkow. This poem is dedicated to Eric Esden, who is not here tonight. It's called Maid of Honor. Your sister caught her groom in shining armor, and the time for sharing her joy has come, Maid of Honor. Special pink gown fitted just so. Mother crows, how natural you look. Anyone would think you wrote the book on getting through this day with style and class, Maid of Honor. The day is not complete without pal Kim, so feel free to sneak out and cop a joint. At first, Mom won't even notice you're gone. In 14 years, Kim oversees your troths, but not before getting hitched herself, and that day it'll be Sister's turn to play Maid of Honor. Late getting back to meet Mother's stern glare, but just in time to serenade the two. Some chords from Stevie Nicks will do, just fine. You're showing for the game. Why didn't the bouquet contain your name, maid of honor? Thank you.
I think you forgot the system.
Yes, Janine Ravensloot, everybody.
All right, we're going to try to see if we get you all to call yourselves up. Give it up for Janine Ravensloot. And because I usually do this speech, I like to monitor everything you're doing, just like the NSA. We are recording this so that it will hopefully become a podcast and blah, blah, blah. I don't know when it'll pull up, but give it up for Janine.
Congressional hearing.
Thank you. I'm going to read one poem it's a daddy poem, and it's going to be in a future book. In fact, the book's already here. Yes, Jenna?
Yes, it is.
Okay. 1CC&D. Titled, Off to the George.
You read that one
Dining
already.
Steakhouse.
You read that one already. Do a different one.
You want me to do another
Yeah.
one? Okay.
What do you have in any of your many books?
Okay. Church on Sunday. Foxpaws, whose tips seem almost glazed with snow at Easter time. Pin-thin muzzles and green glass eyes that stare back at you. Tender clasps that hold them, pelts that sag on those aging necks as you sit there in your pew. You notice such things, too. They're not thinking about the one who died on the cross. They're watching the one who's just left his row to take a leak in the church basement. 3. You remember how Father burned your arms with a silver spoon dipped in hot coffee? He still talks about that. Still thinks it's a funny thing to do. Thank you. Thank you. Tom Roby. Tom Roby is coming up now.
Hey, you.
I have a foodie triolet. My favorite food group is sugar, salt, and fat. I love them. I love them. I love them to death. Without them, the meal on my plate tastes flat. My favorite food group is sugar, salt, and fat. No other food group can make up the lack. I eat until I barely catch my breath. My favorite food group is sugar, salt, and fat. I love them, I love them, I love them to death. I don't know who's next.
You're right.
She knows who's next. She knows everything.
Yeah, because I forgot to tell you who's next. Natalie, I can't see you anywhere. Are you here, my darling? Is there a Natalie in the house?
Natalie.
I said, well, she was up, and so apparently she's not up. Oh, and there she is. Please, ladies and gentlemen, get on the piano with my darling. Get up there.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, got it. Oh, good thing this duct tape is doing so well right here, you know, because that's how we do. Here's how we do. I might wait. Ooh. Okay, so this will be fun.
morning, then I'll be satisfied. 'Cause I don't need no money, and I don't lost my own being. I ain't somewhere for one night of endless sleep for free. Another place, another time when I can find my mind. And it's practically impossible to get out of the window in time. In the sidewalk was rolling chalk that the Mexican kids left for me, so I could draw arrows to sleep on in at your apartment, get into your comfort bed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. And now I'm going to do the traditional, weekly thing for the not for the host, but for the feature. And the feature's birthday is this weekend, and I haven't gotten her anything yet.
Oh no.
So if you would, please help me out and put some money in here, because I'm trying to get out of trouble. So I'm going to pass this around, and then we already got a donation. This is almost like, one of those fake revival church things, where somebody comes up and starts making donations. But anyways, next up is Michael Ho while I pass the bag around.
Thank you.
Okay.
If you don't see fish, add more fish. Fish like fish and will stay below and sometimes surface, mostly all together, but sometimes apart, and only for yummy fish food. If you don't want rocks, drop them in a hole. Rocks like rocks and only come up slowly, sometimes in a lump, but mostly by themselves, only when dirt allows. If you don't like your big eyes, close them. Closed eyes like closed things, and like to be close together, because closing is soothing and as still as a paper napkin. If you don't have things with one and things with two, combine them. Things like things and apart when not put together, and when not together, get together. And when apart, break one into two, and when far away, tumble and roll on their own axis, and when turning is quiet and whispering multiplies. Thank you. Once again, my name is Mike Ho, the next is Esteban Colon.
Esteban! Woo!
Esteban!
Yahoo! Esteban!
Give me an E. Hey. Give me an S.
Esti.
Hold on.
You say, you chant until you hear the piece.
Stevie.
This is called Then. My last girlfriend asked me to dress up like a president before I went down on her. I changed presidents every week. We didn't last past Grover Cleveland. She used to dress up too, and I used to dream ahead and wonder if I'd get Jackie O or Marilyn Monroe, if I'd have Hillary or Monica Lewinsky or Chelsea. Maybe all of them on different nights. I used to let my eyes crawl over neighborhoods, seeds of our white picket fence future, pupils almost sharp enough to eyeball ring sizes. But that part of the story has a very specific ending. Is the thing of sore throat shredding at midnight, cigarettes and vodka for breakfast. My last girlfriend never came as hard as she did the first time I smacked her face without wincing, without asking if she was okay. Her eager eyes, her rollback toes, begging me to choke her. She pushed further every time, had me balancing treats on my nose, till now became then, time always divided by arguments and bloodstained eyes. Thank you.
I forgot to tell him who to call up next, and I've got a Mr. Robert Weinberg on the list, and then Bob Rush was like, no, put down Bob. Put down Bob. He's like, oh, please give it up for Bob Robert Weinberg. Good at it.
This is something I wrote today. I hope it has some merit. Poetry, liberation for Cub fans who cheer for perennially losing teams in a milieu of schlubby vines that grow lush in wintertime instead of the dog days of summer. Cuboidal leaves that can be smashed with a sledgehammer, as in the demonstration of liquid nitrogen at the Museum of Science and Industry, a sledgehammer imitating a Louisville slugger. It is mid-February, the vines are at their lushest. The vines communicate with one another in a code that cannot be cracked. Thank you. And Jerry's next.
Who's next?
Jerry.
Jerry Reynolds, where are you?
She couldn't read her first name. So I changed
Is he in the bathroom?
I was just washing my hands.
All right, get on up here, Jerry. Jerry.
Clean poetry.
This is Jerry. Jerry Pease.
Gentlemen never tell. Vulgar males don't brag about it. Women have in common. Each of us and every one of us in the room have been inside of a woman for at least 8 months. I'm not talking about your mother. I am talking about my own. She was beautiful on the inside. First time I laid my eyes on her, they didn't function. I was speechless for at least 6 months. According to my parents, my first words were, "Mama." But I know that isn't correct. My first words were, "Thank you very much for giving birth to me."
Figure that one out when he started that off. That was awesome. The next person I have on the list, he's like, well, I think I'll do something with music. I'm not sure what I'm doing. And I'm like, well, write your name down. And he wrote down Steve. And And then as we went down, and I'm like, do I need a last name? Do I say something other than you're awesome? And he's like, well, you can, but it won't be accurate. So please go for Steve, wherever you are, get over. There you go, you see it, Lily. There you are.
I'm not going to play any music, but I'll try and recite the lyrics.
We have 3 bonds.
3 bond night?
Celebrate.
Okay. Janet Kuypers' Partial Nudity book release.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, I'll try to remember this. In 3 degrees, everything moves slowly, and your words similarly creep through my mind. If they were just covered up in snow, I'd be fine. These days, the hours are mostly filled with seconds, and the days mostly filled with minutes. And I count them because I have nothing better to do. Somehow you've slipped from love into indifference. And my messages just sit unread. It's hard to take, but I have no choice. Because there's no more to say.
I got the mic on the wrong side, and because we'll have to set up for a feature, I think that I'm going to cut the last open micer before the feature, and then there'll be more open micers. It's okay, so please go for Bob Lawrence.
Scavengers. You see them pushing shopping carts, bearing bulging black garbage bags. You see them steering creaky, sagging trucks whose broken slats enclose jagged mini junkyards. You see them bent over and into garbage cans, pawing and scrutinizing amidst gook and odor for hidden treasure. They do more recycling than the city does. I am a scavenger. Through alleys and streets, through the leaf-flush breeze of spring and summer, through the crinkly and bare winds of fall and winter, noiseless as a shadow, reticent as cirrus clouds, I pass your inebriate parties, your grumbling sidewalk gossip, your innermost angst dispensed into a cell phone. You know how I love you. The life flux you toss away is my tangible treasure. Tonight, the rain has stopped. Water pools in the middle of the asphalt-coated alley. The back door of the corner tavern opens. A burly white-aproned man pours into the dumpster a bevy of bottles that clatter like high-pitched bowling pins. The band resumes. Power chords throb like a thumb struck by a hammer. Over the tavern, a near full moon illumines cloud rims with silver fire. Hanging high in my oak tree, the shiny remnants of a child's balloon.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 5 minutes, something while we set up stuff, and then you're gonna have a feature from, you know, what's her face here, yours truly, and thank you, thank you. Keep dressing busy for the next few minutes. I'll see you in the field.
Well, thanks, Janet, for being an important part of the poetry scene here in Chicago. Now, you may all know Janet Kuypers as the host of the Cafe Gallery open mic here. And maybe you know her as a magazine publisher, but as a writer, her last large book release of new poetry was in 1997, 17 long years ago. So after all this time, and after working with acquaintance-rate women's groups, and learning a lot from traveling around the world, Janet has just released today 2 huge poetry collection books. There's even a little prose and performance art writings in them, and this poetry does reveal a lot about Janet.
Uh-oh.
Now this book name idea originally came from the cover art being edited from Janet's mammogram x-rays. So, for the partial nudity book release, give it up for Janet Kuypers.
I can tell you something about the you get to see the inside of my brush, I guess, because that's what's and I can't reach my books, but they're all down there right now. I want to thank you all very much. Yes, I've got two big books, and as I was doing it, because I thought I've got too much stuff for just one, and originally it was Partial Nudity, Janet Kuypers Revealed, and I'm like, well, why don't I just call them Partial Nudity and Revealed? But then as I'm going along, I'm like, nobody's going to want to buy a big old book. I'll just make little mini books out of them. And so I made a bunch of little 108-page books about translations of things about rape and life and death stuff, or dreams, poems, or things that are news related. And I have all these things in different colors. I have Twitterati, because we're the tweet elite if you have really short poems. And because a lot of you have seen it, I've got 100 haikus. And I was telling everybody that I have, because they were just released today, 2 proof copies of each of these. Actually, one of them's already been sold, but because they're proof copies, yes, some of them have typos in them and stuff like that. Although you do get a cool page in the back that says it's proof copy, and it's the only one like it, so they don't exist like that no more. So I would say if anybody's interested in any of these books, which I can't hold up and display, but they're all just piled over there right now. All the little 108-page ones, they're normally $6 with $3.60 shipping and handling. I'll say you can have them for $5 a pop tonight. And the big old collection books are normally $15 and $16 with shipping, but I would say I would say 12, but that means you'd have to give singles, so I might just say 10. And if you like me and you want me to sign it or something, I have no idea. One thing that you can't do in a book is have music. And because I've been doing that a lot now, and I didn't do that in my book stuff in 1997, I was going to incorporate music into the 4 pieces that I'm going to do tonight. 2 now, and then we're going to have our guerrilla haiku things, because I want all you guys coming up and reading haikus, because I think that's hysterically awesome. But this first poem was actually written in 2005. It is in Partial Nudity. I wish I had it, but you get the idea with the cover by seeing it there. But you see all the other little covers scattered around everywhere. This is I was trying to come up with music, and sometimes John does it live, and he said, but I don't know, on a guitar, I don't know. And I'm like, why don't you pull out your little phone and come up with some kick-ass percussion, because we can't afford to bring the old drum set in, so maybe you'll pull that off for me. It's Tribal Scream. I know what goes on in your head. I know all those characters you've created. I know all the hell in your past. I know the mishmash of everything crammed into your head. And I know a part of that is killing you. And I want you to let it all out. And I want you to just open your mouth and let out a tribal, never-ending scream. Because I know you. I know you got all too much life in you. I know you've got a carbonated soul. And I know that one good scream would let you pop the top of you like a bottle of Coca-Cola. Bubbles of compressed air would be coming out from your mouth in your tribal scream. I wonder what characters you would spill out. I wonder what you would do when you saw what you rejected, what you screamed out. I wonder if you'd see parts of your past, and I wonder if you'd know that they were a part of you, and try to stuff them back in. I've never had like, you know, so now we're gonna have to carry all of that percussion stuff in, all that heavy moving of stuff, because I have the full drum set in the high hand. drum set music. I have no idea on the volume level on this stuff, but this next piece is actually a piece that was inspired by writing from Vittorio Carli. He wrote the thing. I started writing this when, and with every single one, he would go into this whole long story, this whole big old explanation, and I thought that's a really kind of a cool idea, but I took it in a different direction. I decided to make a bunch of little statements, and every single little statement would actually be a quote from something I had previously written. So, the music that you're going to hear in the background, I hope the volume level is, we'll have to see how it works, is from the Haman of South Africa. It is called Marimba Jest, which you actually see there, but I'm going to, I think that's got it. So this is, I started writing this poem when, I started writing this poem when the umbilical cord was cut, even though I should know better, I was never close enough to you. I started writing this poem when I scratched, when I had the chicken pox. I started writing this poem when I took the final swig of vodka and reached for the bottle to pour myself another. I started writing this poem when I found myself trying to make excuses. I started writing this poem when I wiped the makeup off my eyelids and wondered who I was trying to impress. I started writing this poem when I met you, the man who rapes my sisters. You, the man who rapes me. I started writing this poem when I pulled out a fountain pen and wrote till my fountain pen ran dry. I started writing this poem when the Pope gave a thank you to women who work, because we do more than our fair share without fair pay, and we prove ourselves to who over and over again. I started writing this poem when I belched out loud and laughed too hard, swore too much, and grew up too fast. I started writing this poem when I felt that feeling in my chest, right between my lungs, like someone was pressing right against the bone there, right there by your heart. I started writing this poem when I looked at the clock. It was 15 minutes before I had to take another pill. I started writing this poem when I realized that nothing changes, nothing stays the same. I started writing this poem when you took my thoughts again, shoved them into your mouth again, and spit them back at me again. And you told me what I already know. I started writing this poem when you rolled your sultry, deep voice over me like a wave of heat on a summer afternoon. I started writing this poem when I felt that breeze, hot and sticky, hit me in just the wrong way. I started writing this poem when you needed a leader, so I stepped up to the plate. I started writing this poem when I knew who they were coming for. I started writing this poem when I threw out into the open my screams, my cries for help so much faster than I could before. I started writing this poem when he said, when somebody eats one of you, word gets around. I started writing this poem when I found a method of fighting more direct, slower, more painful, more personal. I started writing this poem when I realized that somebody had to die for these. I started writing this poem when the cuts into my hands dripped blood onto the street. I started writing this poem when I'd walked down that street in the city again and it looked like a Quentin Tarantino movie where everybody's pointing guns at each other. I started writing this poem when, after years of putting the 9mm on the line, of knowing the base of the neck was always the best place, my only thought was, aim carefully. I started writing this poem when the only choice we had was to destroy ourselves. I started writing this poem when I drizzled cream into my coffee, watching it form a mushroom cloud within that contained bomb, when you just died. I started writing this poem when you took me down into that casket with you, where I felt the coldness of winter all around me, and I could hear them shoveling the dirt over my head. I started writing this poem when I survived the blizzards, the hurricanes, the tornadoes. I'd lived through the drought. I'd survived it all. I've even survived a near fatal blow from humanity. I started writing this poem when Dachau's gas chambers worked every morning as snow fell on ashes. I started writing this poem when my mother died. That's when the forest fire started and the whole forest burned down. But I started writing this poem when I had to get closer. Because I started writing this poem when the universe was always expanding. I needed to write to fill in the ever-expanding spaces. I started writing this poem when all I could do was turn my fingers black, scouring the newspaper, searching for the right words. I started writing this poem when I wasn't occupying Wall Street. I just wanted to occupy your mind. You see, I started writing this poem when slamming my hands, my fingers against that keyboard. I was doing this because there were too many atrocities in the world, too many injustices that I had witnessed, too many people who had wronged me, and I had a lot of work to do. I started writing this poem when there was a spirituality behind it. It is something I do because I must, and I could not exist any other way. Thank you. And that means, lucky kids, this is for everybody who has a poem racked up and ready to read. This is for the second part of the open mic where I get to get all of you involved in this. This is the section I call Guerrilla Haiku Readings. I call it that because people, you just walk up here and just take over the mic and then give me something and I'll read it because I'll have really no plan for anything. John's even got one that he's going to do, and I have no idea. And you know, I know that's my font for this whole thing, but that doesn't really look like gorilla, you know. There's nothing. Do I have something angry? Let me see what I have. Well, it's something. I can use it for but I'll have to go back. I will. But I don't know if I should be. And I also have some on video, but I want people to actually come on up here and do it, and then I'll have a clue as to what is supposed to be read. Should I start with something, or does anybody have a clue of how I should do this? Anybody? 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 Of course not. I will start
with me.
Oh, well, all right. And then I'm going to also let you know, come on up here, my darling. The music that I'm playing in the background for this is actually music from Andy Derryberry of the DMJ Art Connection. Careful for
You can stay.
Careful for my beard.
Here.
Yeah, that's my little, I'm like, I can move it out of the way. But I'm letting everybody know that the DMG Art Connection, people from Nashville area, are actually setting up tracks of other people reading my stuff, and it was going to be released on something called Other Voices. So I'm going to be playing music from Andy Derryberry in the background, which is really groovy cool. And who knows, maybe John will come up and play some bass because he's awesome in between or something. I don't know, I just need to have something live in it because every once in a while he does stuff. So yeah, this is the Guerrilla Haiku Readings. And I said that
camera's around. So I'm here. All right. This is a poem called Fog. It's a thick, powerful force that doesn't let go.
You heard bits of this. This is evil. Like cream in coffee, evil explodes into a mushroom cloud and spreads.
Job. I've got my degree. I've filled out applications. So where's my dream job?
You got it. Right here. It's just not the one you're getting paid for.
This is Keith.
I got that kind of a dream.
When he'd come home late, I'd cut a piece of clear tape, tape the keyhole shut.
Explosions. H-bomb explosions reach temperatures as hot as the first second of the universe.
This is elusive. 94% of the universe is dark, elusive to me.
Universe, there are more atoms in your eye than all stars in the known universe.
Is that James's?
That's amazing. No, no, think about that. There are more atoms in your eye. Wow, sorry. This is called heaviness. I thought this was interesting. Before scientists knew the law of gravity, the word just felt grave.
Trapped, she felt a chill, like a goose walked on her grave. She chokes with his touch.
I have to take showers, scrub skin, rip out organs to rid myself of you.
This is called free. I ain't got money, and what do you mean to me when nothing's for free?
Jobless. People ask for change, but you're jobless, have no money. What do you do then?
Arsenic and syphilis. Arsenic was used in pre-penicillin days to treat syphilis.
What? That sounds like good science, doesn't it? This is kill. They tried to kill me, but I survived. Lucky me. But what have I won?
You have to do that one again.
I heard my mom's coincidence. I heard my mom's dad did odd jobs for the mob. My dad's dad poured concrete.
I am going to actually pull This is Cage. This pain in my chest heaves. My heart pounds, throbs. It's like it's trapped in a cage.
Pant. Waves are crashing, and the moon's phases are changing to a rhythmic pant.
This is groove. To you, I'm vinyl. Your needle's been in my groove through every ridge, pore.
Blood. Left with you there, I watched us become bloodthirsty animals.
This is nightmares. I don't want beauty or tons of money. I just want the nightmares to stop. They're all so excited to read. I'm not getting any of the videos, so they're gonna have to be at the end.
You can feel me now, rushing, swirling to your neck, opening your mouth.
Wow! Vapor trail.
You can feel my rush, chilling your teeth. Lick your lips. You can't escape me.
There's no wild Joffrey.
I know, I have it spelled wrong there, that's why I give it, I know. It's just impulse, and I'm like, that's why I'm like, I'm giving you I know, it's just...
This is a found haiku. It uses one word that you might need explanation. Annenerba was a Nazi institution to research the origins of the Aryan race. Himmler wanted the Annenerba to prove Jesus wasn't a Jew.
Turned into a Scandinavian. I thought there's after a guy.
This one's called Love, and it seemed fitting. Hitler's first love was for a young Jewish girl that he never spoke to.
Destroy. Nothing can be pure when you destroy purity. My choice is silence.
Flowers on the water broke the oil seeping up from the submarine grave.
You work harder than men for less pay. So, keep up the good work, ladies.
Tying up loose ends, she paid bills, bought her son clothes. Then she killed herself.
I am the predator, with no blade, no defenses. I am blindfolded.
This is years. I'm worn down lately. No, the other way.
I am the
Go forward.
predator.
Hit the enter key, he says. There we go. Here, this is yours, and it's not Bruce Manson. Sorry. I'm worn down lately from carrying your spirit all these years alone.
Amazing how much of your life you can fit in a single suitcase.
The police code was played out to warn everyone. Haiku in progress.
I never really liked you, but now I can't get you out of my head.
Fitting continuation, this is Run. Although I hate you, I'll never let go. So you'll have to run faster.
Guide. Like all lambs to the slaughter, I always guide them to their destiny.
Human beings are the only creatures with thought. That's why we have gods.
Clothes. Death's an animal perched under your bed, waiting for you to close your eyes.
This is knowing. Fallen to my knees, I can feel my chest cave in, knowing it's my time.
Difference. When putting same clothes on angels and demons, you can't tell them apart.
Some stores sort Bibles along with books for sale as fiction. And why not? I'm going to do this before I get Oz Hardwick up here. He's in Leeds, he's in the UK, he can't make it here for this, so this is Ants and Crosses. Ants aren't Christians. There aren't tiny crosses shoved in tops of anthills.
In church, children are little soldiers behind their mummies and daddies.
I am going to end on a final haiku, so we have that for that. This is the one that's most haiku-like. This is called No. How does the light feel once you know the truth? Alone in a darkened room. I have few more, but I think we're at such an overload of haikus, and I'm like, nope, not gonna have any more. That's plenty, and thank you very much. And I've got to go back to my regular. Hey, there's my regular typeface. I did that. It just seemed weird to have, you know. I'm sorry, being silly.
It's a nice concept. I like it very much.
Pardon me?
I said it's a nice concept, and I like the idea of, that you recorded some people ahead of time. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, they couldn't make it, and the first one was Oz, and he's like, I'm in town. I'm like, then read something on the street. So, I have two more, count them two. Oddly enough, this next piece is a piece that was also inspired by something I heard from Vittorio Carli. It's not really about his. I think the poem was The Trouble with Librarians or something like that. But I just heard little tiny pieces of it, and it made me think of going to do this. And the piece is a long piece. It's called My Brain Was. And like the other poem, it all starts with my brain was. And it talks about how your brain thinks about things as they go through life. And this is a really long piece. This is my most recent piece I've written. It's really, really long, and there's no way I'm reading it all to you, but I'm giving you a couple pieces from it. The thing I think is really funny is the music from the Hammond of South Africa is in the background, and the title of the piece that he is playing is called The Story I Am Trying to Tell, which I thought was just perfect for this. This is called My Brain Was. My brain was fighting to get out. My brain was doing everything it could to shut itself off, but no one could ever drink enough when rape, while intoxicated, is still rape. My brain was smarter than the men out there who expected me to lift my shirt for them. I went to the parades, I got the beads. For once, the men were objectified when I, from my balcony, made men strip for beads at Mardi Gras. My brain was getting moral, contemplating the sacredness of animals around the world, when my brain made the conscious choice to no longer kill them, or even ask others to kill them for me. My brain was calibrating the wind speed on this rocky red range until, during the dead of winter, after seeing no one for miles on Utah's Arches National Park, the decision was made. Get in the lotus position, naked, and meditate on a mountaintop until the wind was just too cold. By then it was time to get dressed and hike back to civilization. My brain was scanning the rolling Montana roads, not seeing cars or cops for miles. My brain gave my foot the okay to floor it, and for miles the speedometer went as high as it could until my brain was satiated and I brought the car speed back down to 90 out in the middle of nowhere. My brain was waiting for everyone to start driving as the light had just turned green. My brain registered from the rear view mirror a car speeding toward me. My brain went into survival mode, turned the wheel of my car to save the motorcyclist's life in front of me before my car skidded for 108 feet. And my mother had to come to the hospital I was born in to identify a body. My brain was struggling to piece back together a life it lost. Make those connections. You've done this before, my brain kept telling myself. My brain got my lungs to start breathing again. And after they removed that feeding tube, my brain had to rationalize eating again. It was like a chant from my brain. Get out of that wheelchair. Stand on your feet. You have places to go. This isn't how it's supposed to be. My brain was contemplating philosophy because on this first date, we talked philosophy half the night. And I let him kiss me goodnight. My brain was, for one day, allowing me to feel like a princess. Look, I'm getting married today. Someone else will take care of it. My brain's done enough for this. Let me be happy. My brain was determined to get to the top of that mountain. I know I'm not a climber. I know I prefer hot tubs, but those ski lifts are closed, and these are the Alps. And really, how many times will you get the chance to climb the Alps? My brain knows you're only wearing sandals and socks, and there's snow and water everywhere. But really, this is your only chance. My brain felt like a heel being carried past the last water pit coming down from that mountain. But looking back, my brain was pleased. It had to try. My brain was trying to remember how to breathe, turning my head, hoping I could catch my breath as the atmosphere was pushing me at 120 miles per hour before someone pulled the ripcord on my parachute. My brain was thrown into journalism mode after the levees broke from Hurricane Katrina. The water poured in and ocean waves were frozen into the street. I pulled out the camera, snapped photos of one house after another, some burnt to embers, while most were spray painted with destruction notices and evacuation premonitions. My brain was racking itself, trying to figure out what to do, how to be healthy, so I may not die the way my mother did. My brain was consciously calculating constellations I had never seen before in the southern hemisphere. And the constellation I coined the Martini, because it was shaped like a martini glass, was actually Phoenix, the most prominent constellation in the southern sky. After my brain was searching for any way to cool down during the hottest Indy 500 in decades, my brain was, afterwards, edging out men's outstretched hands. My brain knew Jack Nicholson would rather high-five a female, and so we did. My brain was keeping me awake again last night, thinking about what went down during the day or what I gotta do tomorrow. My brain's always thinking of new places, contemplating new challenges, opting for new options. I lie awake and I think, that's my brain for you, always looking for something new. Lucky you didn't hear it all. I was like, man, you know that was great. I really don't know.
Was that just a fourth of it, or?
Maybe closer to half.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, but it's still long. And I don't normally do things like that. This is the last piece that I'm going to make you guys suffer with. And I was trying to find out, like, I'll find older pieces and shorter ones and new ones and all that kind of stuff. But and I wanted to have music for it, and no, I've had two pieces from the Hamid of South Africa, and I've had music from the DMG Art Connection, and I have people from Ohio and other places, and John do stuff, but I'm like, I have, you know what, excuse me, I even had Peter Bartle's music with my stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've got stuff from 5D, because they've done an album and an EP with me. So I'm going to end on a piece that I think actually I read 4 years ago at my feature on my birthday at the cafe. I think I read this there, but I had different music. Victor Sanders did live music, but anyway, sorry. This is actually something that was written in 2010, and I hope this works. And I hope you like the music, Wooden Glass from 5D. This is called Keep Them Apart. They say headlights run in parallel lines. They never touch. But you know, we humans try to recreate science and we never get it right. And I don't care how many miles it takes. I don't care how long it takes. But eventually, they will touch. They will cross. They will intermingle for one brief moment. You think you've done everything you can. You think they're meant to stay apart. You did everything humanly possible to keep them apart. But they'll come together. Trust me. It doesn't matter where the car is traveling. To Colorado, through Utah, to California, to Las Vegas, even through Texas, past New Orleans. It doesn't matter if we have to kick people out of your home. And it doesn't matter if we have to act like nothing is going on. Because at some point, no matter how far away, no matter how remote, we'll get together. Even if it's to only cross each other and then go our separate ways. Thank you very much. Thank you. And if I knew who on earth was next, I could just start up an open mic. Thank you very much. I hope you guys thought it was cool. Thank you very much for reading stuff, because you guys are awesome. And, hey, I've got a Tom. Hey, it's Tom Schaefer. Where's my Tom? I can't see anybody. Oh, I see you sitting there. Are you ready to come on up here? I'm going to get out of the way.
Yes, I am.
Oh, and he's powering that down so you don't have to look at partial nudity sitting there anymore. And I've got a bunch of books here, and
yeah, we need to buy those.
And I know that. Yeah, I'm already holding CC&Ds and 100 haikus for you. Got it, Angel.
Yay!
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 Double plus yay. So in the meantime, please give it up for Tom. Tom Schaefer, my darling, get out here. Wait, oh, he's gonna get a beer. So should I read a haiku or something and kill somebody? You know I can do. I've got him stacked over there. Yes. So he's got to get his beer.
Okay, so these are ours, right?
So should it?
Yeah.
You've got the 5 right there.
Yeah.
And I think you said you read something. You've got them. You're awesome. You said you read, but I don't think you read any of those.
Can you sign?
I can sign them. Yes, I can. But the poem that you read, I don't think appears in any of those 4 books.
No. Wait. Yes. It
Church. I looked at all the titles.
Yeah. No. I think I played a little bit. But maybe not. Maybe that's not in there. I don't know.
Well, Tom, he's got his beer. Get it up here and give it up for Tom. Sorry, you're seeing a mess, and I will move my stuff.
That's all right.
I just had a show.
You should see my phone.
And I'll move this, and if you need a place for beer, you got it. Yeah, sign for it. Just because you're awesome. But everybody here is awesome, so 100%.
Anyone leave change up here?
I saw the pennies there, yes. I have no idea.
Just rotate the.
Yeah? Yeah, hold on for a second. Judith, you're beautiful. Janet, we need you to sign these, babe?
Tina, can I buy them next time?
You did it last time, so.
I just want to get cash. That's fine. Tina, what?
Last time.
This is beautiful.
Everybody has poetic license here at this open mic. Ta-da.
Yeah, I need to sign these.
This guy's gonna read.
Okay. Oh, he's reading.
No, I'm not reading actually. Anyways, so this is whoever was not here 2 weeks ago, I read part 1 to my long poem. This is part 2. I'm sure part 1 exists somewhere. She recorded it.
You can always check in the podcast, yes.
So it's a little bit political. Sorry.
Uh-oh, I'm bracing myself.
Old Glory, a Sestina.
Oh, Gloria Sestina, I love it.
To what do we pledge our allegiance? Do we gift wrap it to the flag, the wind-ripped symbol of freedom, the tattered, broken banner of oppression, or glinting gold icon of greed? See Old Glory as it is, a piece of cloth. Yeah, Old Glory, like $1, is a piece of cloth. But you know, you don't pledge allegiance to this. Or do we? We also don't bend the knee, genuflect, bow our heads to greed. But it's the new Lamb of God. We've deified the flag, but each star is a tally of our obvious oppression. Oh God, sorry. Obvious oppression against long downtrodden man falling through the crack of freedom. A cracked bell in Pennsylvania, a symbol of fettered freedom. Our liberty is cracked. Blinded by the cloth. It's the same cloth that blinds justice, but neither should be blind, because they gotta see oppression. And guard against more cracks in their skin, so pledge your allegiance not to Old Glory, but to liberty for all. Fly that flag like your shadow. Take down the icon of greed. Humanity long downtrodden in droughts of greed. The drought will end when rain falls freedom. We will die. All things have their end, and I know that's cliche, but let's not leave our legacy as material designer cloth, because even the flag will die. And where then will we pledge our allegiance? Will we leave behind freedom and liberty or oppression? In New York City, there's a statue shadow. This is the oppression of immigrants and exploited masses. This is white man's greed. This is actual symbol of demanded allegiance, of school classrooms, brainwashes freedom, children molded, and there in their classroom hangs the piece of cloth. And right next to it, there's a Negro lynched, right beside our flag. We must look to our past, the sins of the flag. They're numerous: genocide, slavery. Accept it and strive for future liberation, free from foolish cloth and specters of the barons of industry and greed, and accept the past to guard the future, I guess, to guard freedom for all humans. To that, I proudly pledge allegiance. Perhaps I'm just greedy for glory, though. Who am I to take down our flag? This is my oppressive opinion and our freedom. But this, too, is a piece of paper. Fuck it. I pledge allegiance to the piece of paper. And they cleaned up the mess, too.
You're awesome.
That's un-American.
And I just heard him say,
That's un-American.
well, this is what about being jobless, because Jerry Pendergast is going to come up. Would you like the pennies that are apparently on the ground? Well, I'll take them.
Can I ask you one question?
How about I call Jerry and then you can ask? There's 2 or 3 more. Yeah, there are a number of people and we've got to get through stuff because we're already past due. So please, give it up for Jerry Pendergast.
Some of you might know that I played high school football. And each season, I had the privilege of having my locker near...
Wait, turn that down. Wow.
I'm sorry.
Loud. No, it's, I don't know, it's...
I'm sorry.
It's not you, I don't know.
And every year I had the privilege of having my locker near one year right next to the dude who led the team in locker room BS. This is called for an unnamed teammate. I regret that girl, thighs spread every Friday, moved after the fire. This is called a magazine at 17. Can earn a license to drive over smooth and rough spots. All windows open. Thank you.
This is so goofy of me. I'm like walking around like a buffoon as I'm doing this. I think I've got my last open micer. I believe that is it. I can't, every time I come up here, I can't see anything with these crazy lights. But I forgot, I also have kisses because I heart you all. So I want you all to have kisses. So I'm going to give you guys kisses. And please give it up for Don Hargrave. Don, come on over, Don.
Okay, as it happens, I have nothing of my own but a poem from a guy named Juvenal. He wrote something 16 satires. This is the first one. Must I always be stuck in the audience of these poetry readings, never up on the platform myself, taking it out on Condas for the time he's bored me to death with ranting speeches from that theseid of his ex to get off scot-free after inflicting his farces on me, or why his elegies? Is there no recompense for whole days wasted on prolix versions of Telphus? What about that Orestes? Each margin on the roll crammed solid top to bottom, more on the back, and still it wasn't finished. I know all the mythical landscapes like my own back room, the groves of Mars, that cave near Aurelius's island belonging to Vulcan. The stale themes are bellowed daily in a rich patron's colonnades, till their marble pillars crack with a surfeit of rhetoric. The plane trees echo every old trope, what the winds are up to, what ghost Archaeus has on his hellish rack, from what far country that other fellow is sneaking off with in that golden sheepskin, the monstrous size of those ash trees the centaurs use for spears. You get the same stuff from them all established poets and raw beginners alike. I too have once done under the gain and concocted advice to Sulla that the despot retire into private life, take a good long sleep, and so on. When you find hordes of poets on each street corner, it's misplaced kindness to refrain from writing. The paper will still be wasted. Why then have I chosen to drive my team down the track with great Lucilius blazed? If you have the leisure to listen calmly and reasonably, I will enlighten you. When a flabby eunuch marries, and well-born girls go crazy.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I take it back. There is one more. Thank you very much. See, this is what happens where I just started thinking of a space case and I didn't even see Lynn Fitzgerald here. Lynn! I'm such a buffoon. So please give it up for, and I love how we end on a woman. Give it up for Lynn Fitzgerald!
Okay, I guess I'm the end, so I'm the caboose. All right.
You are the culminating piece.
I'm going to read a poem and the title is Washed Up. So, am I washed up? Isn't that term reserved for fading actresses? I think of Gloria Swanson in Sunset Boulevard, washed up. At least she was good some of the time. I doubt that this applies to males. They get better as they age, and I never recall the term applied to a writer, typically. Writer's block, taking a break, gathering material. But how long can this go on, and when does it turn into zzz? Writer's block, they say, happens to those who acquire some degree of fame. Think of Apollinaire, Balzac, the best work written in their 20s. Or Fitzgerald, writing in between drinking. His masterpiece already established. He could go on a perpetual binge, glimpse his genius in a highball glass. And then there was Hemingway, his buddy, unencumbered by a Zelda's imagination, and very much the man in that circle, knocking back 7 to 8 daiquiris to start the day, some memorable work while in Paris. But as he aged, he understood life. His fatalistic novella captured a Nobel Prize, went on to blow his brains out. Picasso, was he ever washed up? No, he went through phases or periods. Remember the blue period? Blue period. Some evolution of the art, each place stamped with a particular dalliance or would-be muse. Elizabeth Taylor was never washed up. Those purple orbs set too many hearts on fire, and in later life she became charitable. Richard's career did fade. He was washed up as an actor, but never lost the voice nor the library. He should have been a poet. So, I think poets. Many turn to writing fiction or painting. Some continue writing poems. Others become fathers, or buy houses, even a condo, or stop drinking. How does a poet ever run out of words? Thank you.
I have to give one to Donna Hergraves too, because I have a few things of poetic licenses, and you get to have one and fill your name in so you can have a poetic license. So it's the least I could do for you guys, because I heard you. And I have to talk very, very briefly, because we run an open mic every 2 weeks. And I'm going to tell you about some upcoming features. I'm going to be as quick as I can, because we've got a singer-songwriter coming later, and this has been all late, and I've been all running and freaking out, and I don't know what's going on. But 2 weeks. Always right around the 4th of July. We've got Dan Cleary that's going to come and woo us. She's so triple plus awesome, but that's on July 2nd. Then, 2 weeks after that, I think you've heard him here, July 16th, Jerry Pendergast is the feature. Awesome rocks, I don't know what to say. And then, at the end of the month, on July 30th, we've got two features in one night. We've got Kathleen Shannon-Bartos, and we have Lynn West. Oh my God, Powerhouse Woman, even that'll be awesome. And hey, I don't know. Hey, happy, wonderful super sidekick Bob Rashko is on August 13th. And then, I don't know if Esteban Colon is still here, but on August 27th, he's up. Oh my God, all these people I know and love. September 10th, Bob Lawrence. Hey, and Bob Lawrence. That's what it says. And Bill Yarrow. Oh my God, we have 2. It's so awesome when you can pull these 2 off at once. Yeah, and we've got Buddha. We've got Buddha on September 24th. Sorry, I'm just getting way too excited because I'm looking at all these really cool things, and I could go on and on. I mean, I see Lucia Blinn of Van Miller and not good. You know, I'm not even like, I'm done. Because if you want to know anything about the schedule, you can always, well, ask me or email me or go to www.chaoticarts.org/thecafe, because there's always a schedule there and you can find out what's going on. We're going to figure out what the timeline for schedules will be, if we're going to continue doing the same or if we're going to start an hour later, because everybody always comes late anyway to this open mic. We'll figure it out, and it'll be triple plus awesome. And I want to personally thank each and every one of you for coming here and being a part of this evening. I'm thanking you. I thank you for being here. And I look forward to seeing all of you here in 2 weeks for a wonderful thing with Dan Cleary. Thank you, thank you, thank you.